Welcome back. Everybody's favorite word problem day. Writing equations from word problems. Essential question, how can an equation be used to represent a real life situation? Here we go.
All right, so the notes are set up for you at the top. We've already filled some stuff in, but I'm going to recommend that you highlight or underline a little bit up there. There's some important ones. So your first step is identify any keywords or information that help you decide what operation to use. Are you going to add, subtract, multiply, divide? And then think about what is your missing piece of information. What don't I know? That's going to become your variable. And then just so you can't take any shortcuts, the rule is the variable should never be all by itself on one side of the equation when you set it up. There's always going to be something happening to your variable, which is going to be how we get to our answer when we solve it.
First example, there are 8 competitors in each ring for a Taekwondo tournament. If there are 96 competitors in the tournament, how many rings do they need? So the first time we're going to go through, there are 8 competitors in each ring. We're going to highlight the word or underline the word each. So there's going to be 8 competitors in one ring, 8 competitors in another ring, 8 in another ring. How many of the rings do we need to get to 96? So that is a multiplication problem. 8, the variable is going to stand for the number of rings we need.
So that's what we don't know is how many rings. So maybe we call that R for rings.
Yeah, 8R is going to equal 96. So we're solving for the number of rings. It is a multiplication problem, so we're going to undo the multiplications with division. Dividing 96 by 8, 8 divided by 8 is going to equal R. 96 divided by 8 is going to equal 12. So R is equal to 12 rings. Getting that label on is important as well.
So these are nice one-step equations. There's nothing complicated about these. It's just figuring out what operation are we using.
Are we checking or making sure our answer makes sense? Or
for these, we'll kind of skip over the check just for now, just to save time. But yes, they should be expected to check their solutions and make sure it's reasonable for their answer.
Okay.
Next one is the lifespan of a guinea pig is 8 years shorter than the lifespan of a puma. If a guinea pig has a lifespan of 4 years, write an equation that you could use to find the lifespan of the puma. So we're trying to find the lifespan of a puma. That's our missing piece of information. So let's call that P for puma. And then we look for some of those keywords. It says the lifespan of a guinea pig is 8 years shorter than the lifespan of the puma. So we want 8 less than or something that's 8 less than what the puma. Less than or shorter than means we want to subtract 8. So it's saying whatever the puma is, if you take away 8, that's going to give us the guinea pig's age or lifespan. And they tell us the guinea pig's lifespan is 4 years. So the puma minus 8 is going to give us our 4 years. So we're kind of piecing those parts together. What don't I know? What am I going to do to it? And then what should be the answer on the other side of my equal sign? When we're ready to solve it, then we undo whatever they did to the variable. Here they subtracted 8, so I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And in this case, the puma's lifespan is going to be 12 years.
So going back, checking to make sure that the puma is indeed longer than the guinea pig and that your answer is bigger than the guinea pig's 8 years. The cost of 6 motorcycles is equal to the cost of 1 SUV. If the SUV costs $30,000, find the cost of 1 motorcycle. So we're going to identify that variable. Do you want to do C or M? M.
Go with M for motorcycle.
And then we're going to start reading the problem. The cost of 6 motorcycles, so we have 6 of some motorcycles, is equal to the cost of 1 SUV. If the SUV costs $30,000. So 1 SUV is equal to the cost of $30,000. So our equal is going to be $30,000. We want that variable on the motorcycle, so it's going to be 6 times the M is equal to the $30,000.
So the cost of a motorcycle times 6, because there's 6 of them. So 6 times M
is equal to 30,000. So we're going to divide to undo our multiplication. Divide both sides by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1M. 30,000 divided by 6 is 5,000. Sorry.
I'll do the math for you on that one.
No, I was just about to say check to make sure that our zeros, but then I just did it out loud. So
each motorcycle costs $5,000. If we multiply that times 6, that would give us our $30,000 total for our SUV.
Brain's working too fast. Oh, you're up.
All right. And one of the suggestions is like on that last one, probably a lot of your brains immediately went to 30,000 divided by 6. You knew what you wanted to do. Well, your brain is telling you how you're going to solve the equation. So think it backwards. Okay, if I know I have to divide, that means I must have been multiplying in the original problem. Sometimes think of what your brain wants to do and take it backwards a step to figure out what must have been happening in the equation. This one says a cup of brewed tea has 54 milligrams less caffeine than a cup of brewed coffee. If a cup of tea has 66 milligrams of caffeine, how much caffeine is in a cup of coffee? So we're trying to figure out how much caffeine.
Go C.
So go with C for caffeine, and then we look for our keywords. A cup of brewed tea has 54 milligrams less caffeine than a cup of brewed coffee. Well, that less than is really code for subtracting.
Remember, you got that arrow for less than, so something has to be there before we can have a less than.
And if you think of back to 6th grade, remember the less than is where we flip the order. So we're going to take the coffee, C, minus 54. 54 less than the coffee is going to be our total of 66 milligrams for our cup of tea. Once we have it set up, then it's a quick solve. They subtracted, so we're going to add 54 to both sides. C in this case is going to be 120 milligrams of caffeine.
So we need to make sure that that answer makes sense by rereading the problem and making sure that our number that we got for an answer is bigger so we can take less than to get to 66.
All right, now we're going to transition to two-step problems. So now you're going to have to look for a little bit more information in the problem. So first thing is identify the total or whole amount. That's going to go on one side. That's what it's going to be equal to. Then identify your missing pieces of information. That's what your variable is going to represent. What don't we know? And then a good idea is think about if you were to actually know how many, like in this next case, buckets of balls it is, or if you knew what that number was, what would you do to it to find your answer? If you would multiply and then you would add or subtract. Thinking through those steps that your brain naturally wants to use, a lot of times will tell you exactly how to set up your equation.
The other piece of it is making sure that you know where the variable is. You're looking for something that is each or in addition to a one-time fee. So we're trying to make sure that we know where the variable goes. It costs $12 at attend a golf clinic with a local pro. Buckets of balls.
Attend.
For practice during the clinic costs $3 each. How many buckets can you buy at the clinic if you have $30 to spend? So
I really did check this over.
Identify the total or whole amount. That's $30 to spend. So equals the $30, please. What's next? Identify the missing piece of the information. We need B for buckets that we can buy at the clinic. And then
each of those buckets is $3 each. Each is really code for multiply. So 3 times the number of buckets.
And we do have that additional fee. It costs $12 to just show up for the clinic. So we're adding 12 to the 3B. Now we got to solve. So we're going to undo it by subtracting 12 from both sides. What in the world is that number? 3B is now going to be equal to 18.
30. It's really ugly, 30. 3B is equal to 18.
Divide both sides by 3. So you can buy 6 buckets.
Oh, yeah, not money. 6.
There you go.
I swear to God that says buckets if you can read really, really bad
And our
handwriting.
answer actually makes sense. 3 times the 6 buckets will give us 18. 18 plus 12 is 30. We're good.
All right, next one. Mrs. Jackson has earned a $500 bonus for signing a 1-year contract to work as a nurse. Her salary is $22 per hour. If her first week's check, including the bonus, is $1,204, how many hours did Mrs. Jackson work?
Step 1, your total whole amount.
So our total whole amount, gotta get my pen, is $1,204. That's what it's gonna be equal to.
Step 2, your variable.
We wanna know how many hours did she work. So that's gonna be my H. And that per hour is really code for 22 times the number of hours. So I know I'm going to do 22H.
Now I'm going to address the extra information.
And now she's also getting that additional $500 bonus, so that's going to get added to her total.
Now you're ready to solve.
Now we're ready to, thank you for all those fantastic prompts. Be ready to tell me what 22 how many times 22 goes into 704 here in just a minute.
Nope, brain dead. Your job.
So 1204 minus 500 is 704. So we now have to divide by 22.
3.
A lot more than 3.
No, 22 goes into 73 times. That's 66. Are we not doing the long division?
No, I'm just going to use my calculator.
We really are.
They can do theirs.
They
I'm
will
trying
not.
to save
You are
them time
modeling
on their
examples.
video. So what is it then?
I don't know. 32.
So she's going to have to work 32 hours in order to get to that total. Sorry, I should have had that ready to go for you. So $22 times the number of hours. So 22 times 32 is going to give me my 704 plus the additional $500 gets us to our total of $1,204.
Paulo has
Paulo.
$145 in his savings account. He earns $36 a week mowing lawns. If Paulo saves all of his earnings, after how many weeks will he have saved $433? So total amount, $433 goes after the equal sign. Step
We wanna know how
2,
many
variable, let's go
weeks.
W. It says he earns $36 a week instead of each or per. We got a week, so that's going to mean times. So 36 times W. And then he already has the $145 in his savings account, so we're adding $145.
So once you kind of get some practice with it,
You better go. Go ahead, keep talking.
so you start to kind of pick up on the pattern of how to set these up and what you're looking for. So in this case,
288.
I want to subtract that away, and I get 36W is equal to 288. And then I'm going to divide by 36 because they multiplied by 36.
W equals 8.
And W is equal to 8 weeks. So you have to mow lawns for 8 weeks in order to save enough to get to his total of $433. All right, down to our last one, and this one's got a little
kittens.
trick in it, so we want to be extra careful. It says kittens weigh about 100 grams when born and gain anywhere from 7 to 15 grams per day. If a kitten weighs 100 grams at birth and gains 8 grams per day, in how many days will the kitten triple its weight?
Lots of numbers, which means extra information, dude.
Now, notice how I highlighted this little part here. Mrs. King's first step was always what's going to be our total? What are we adding everything else to be? In this case, they didn't tell us exactly what it is, but they gave it to us in code here.
Inference. Oh, Kella would love it.
So, triple its weight. Its weight was 100. Mrs. King, what does triple mean to do?
Means we're going to multiply it by 3.
So we want to get to where its weight's going to be 3 times the original weight. So we want to get to 300 grams.
Are you going to use W for weight or G for grams?
Let's go W for weight.
Okay.
So it weighed 100 grams at birth and is gaining 8 grams per day. So we know we're going to multiply times. I'm going to go D for days
Okay.
because we're trying to figure
Can
out how
you
many
cross
days.
out the extra information because that distracts kids? Thank you.
Yes, but they have to figure that out. They have to know which
We're
pieces to
walking
look
through.
for.
There you go.
Okay. We are ready to solve it now. So
Just
we're going to subtract away that 100. You're going to do that with a calculator too?
No. Are we giving them calculators in this unit?
No.
Haha.
They can handle it. You can do that, and
Sorry,
it's
8.
25.
Yeah. Divide by 8, you get 25.
And D is equal to 25 days, which makes sense.
Yeah.
8 grams per day times 25 days
3
is
times its weight is
200 extra grams. Added to our 100, it gets us to our total.
grams for these kittens. They're so little.
All right. Be ready to do some of these on your own tomorrow.